am very sorry that I put in the G2G thing that we would cover land records. I meant to study a lot on that the last 2 days. I didn't. I listened to a lot of lectures that covered a variety of other topics, but not land records. So if someone wants to get into that, that would be really cool. Um, and I started a doc, and I'm going to make it public and drop it in the chat. So I put from the lectures I listened to, I just put a couple notes, and from the Library of Congress and Amy Johnson Crow, and Krista Cowan, all focused on female ancestors. So I figured I could make a tab, and then people could add their own favorite resources because it's just a couple items on there.
Cool.
Um, and Denise, did you have a particular ancestor you wanted to start talking about, or no?
Actually, I don't. Um, I really haven't done a lot of research on the women, so I'm looking forward to learning in this one too.
Okay. Well, I'll start with just my basic favorites. And I know the audience is going to range from very beginner to much more advanced than me. So I hope you get something out of it. And of course, ask question anytime. But I've noticed on Ancestry.com, the maiden names of the women are not always indexed. So I'm often looking at US death records. And if I click the death record on here, because I've noticed that they're not indexed, but if you click on the image, then it's available. Okay, Social Security, that's always a good one. So make sure to look at the originals. I guess a lot of people already know that, but the original will have much more information on there than the index version. And also you can see any misspellings. And one thing Amy Johnson Crow had mentioned in one of her videos is that you really want to order the if you're particularly interested in an ancestor, you need to order the actual Social Security document if at all possible, because there's extra information on it, such as the location that it was filed and the actual address the person lived at the time it was filed, say in 1940,
Oh,
whenever. Um,
combinatorial.
so yeah, no, I actually would be interested to get hers because I didn't realize that didn't have as much information as some of the other Social Security documents. Like it doesn't even name her parents. Um, I know who her parents are, but anyway. And then what was something else that was easy that I wanted to mention? Um, okay, original images. Oh, look at the obituaries for everybody. All the siblings that you can possibly find. It'll name married names at different points in time and the cities that they live in. Like if the woman changed her name multiple times over several years, and you can find the obituaries for all the children in those years, then you can get a series of names. Um, yeah, I guess I thought I had her. Oh, she died in Texas, so she should have a Texas death index. Anyway, you get the idea. Um, so just what do you call it? Exhaust all the obituaries you possibly can. And something else that Amy Johnson Crow had mentioned was make sure to check all the different local town newspapers, not just the one, because sometimes you'll get an extended obituary in one newspaper versus the other. Um, so Ancestry has the newspapers.com connections. And then I also use Internet Archive a lot. One thing I use it for is city directories. And I put a link to that in the document that I need to share. How do I make this open?
Yeah, Ancestry is
There.
good for a lot of the directories too.
Oh, yes, definitely. Um, and I was looking particularly for, actually, Denise, if you want to click on my, so Helen Warner was married to surname Webb. John Webb married a second time. And I have been unable to find her, I've been
You
unable
want
to
to?
find her maiden name.
You want me
Um,
to click on John?
sure, yeah. Yeah, and then you can see what I've gathered for the wife. And actually, I think I have even more on WikiTree, actually. Um, so I should put, I can put that on there too. And I need to connect it. Oh, I have the WikiTree bee on, just like a bumblebee, and that's why there's a an extension, and that's why there are the little WikiTree emblem you see on there. That means that there is a WikiTree profile for that person. Oh yeah, so if you interesting. Okay, now click Web again. John Henry Webb, because the little icon doesn't show up on the actual, isn't showing up on Mary's, but if you click back on John Henry Webb, then you can immediately go over to profile for Mary Josephine Webb. And that's where I put all of her city directories. I was combing through the Akron city directories on Internet Archive. And yeah, Ancestry has a lot. My Heritage has a lot, but they don't have literally every directory that ever existed. Um, and neither does Internet Archive. So you just have to kind of comb everywhere. If you scroll up a little bit, oh yeah, so I think Ancestry had some of the Akrons, but not all of them. If you scroll up a little bit and click on Mary Josephine Webb, but just the little WikiTree icon, um,
Well,
kind of gray.
because this is not my tree, I'm not going to be able to click on the WikiTree icon because
Oh,
this is your tree. And I
oh,
don't have a role on your tree. So I'm looking at your tree as a just an
yeah.
average public person.
Oh, interesting. Because I thought I had successfully clicked on it before.
You
And
can for if it was you, but
oh
since
no, I
I'm
meant for
doing
an
it and it's your tree, I can't do it because I do the same thing. I've got
interesting.
B and I get these little icons here. Yeah,
Interesting. So it's grayed out and you can't click it. I guess at least it tells you there's someone. Anyway, I'll put
yeah.
it. Okay, interesting. I learned something new. Um, there, I put her in the chat. Um, so that's
You got her
not
in the chat.
yeah, Lear is not her, most likely it's not her maiden name. It was her first husband's, but I just haven't been able to find her. I've been combing through birth records in Massachusetts for a particular time period. I was researching this like 5 months ago, so I can't remember the details, but this was really a hmm, I lost my train of
It's
thought.
going to take me a
Anyway,
minute. I'm
let
trying
me
to.
see. Kay, Kay, you can put your voice on and talk about what you just wrote in the notes.
If you can hear me, okay.
Yeah.
Um, I'm having a hard time hearing you. My great grandmother, I had her forks. It had her maiden name on it, and that's all I knew about her family. And so I started searching all sorts of things. I found a probate notice for her uncle that didn't have any children, that named all of his nieces and nephews and great nieces and great nephews. And so I did all the research on that whole family to put them all together to figure out all the relationships. And her sister, who she lived with in 1850, had a death certificate. Her sister moved to Wisconsin and her death certificate named her parents. And so that was my breakthrough on her. Would you like a link to her profile?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Let me go
Sure.
look.
Or you can share it if you'd like.
I gotta find it.
Oh, okay.
Let's see, that would be my, my family tree.
Kids' marriage records are also a place I've often found once you get to a certain point in history. I do a lot pre 1850, but after that, you start getting that when kids get married, they start listing the mother's maiden name at a certain point in the 1900s.
Yeah.
Can you say that again, Liz? I didn't quite get it.
Just
Marriage
if
records.
you're looking for a maiden name of an ancestor, if it's not too far back, you can often find it on, or if you're looking down the tree in a different branch, you can often find it on children's marriage or death records.
Oh yeah.
And in some parts of the country, you can find it earlier. It's just, but I found for the most part, before 1900, you're not going to find it on kids' records much, unless it's sometimes birth. Yeah, birth, you can find it on kids' records, sometimes going all the way back to the 1700s, because I've found maiden names all over the German Flats Palatine records. It just depends on the community. Those early church records, sometimes they gave them, and a lot of the time they gave them, and then other times I guess a different person writing a different year, who knows?
Yeah, and that's one of those things where I I've read a little bit on the website called Research Like a Pro. It's run by a mother-daughter. They call themselves Family Locket, and then they also written a couple books, Research Like a Pro, and they recommend anytime you're really researching a family member seriously, you need to write a location guide before you start. So then things that would include would be like, when did that particular location start having birth records, marriage, death, etc., what they included. So you're right. And most of my family is from the American South, and the vital records are not very good. So I need to work a little harder on my Southern ancestors. Honestly, um, I've looked more at my northern people because Vermont, Massachusetts, they have better early vital records. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, if enough time is spent, one can connect the dots. Not always, but
But you don't have to write that entire guide yourself. I'm sure you know about the no, Family Search,
yes,
they have place pages. And
yes.
those have links to gazetteers or however you pronounce that, because it's a weird word, as well as like Google Maps info and place info. So I found that helpful when I had one ancestor, and I still don't know much about her. I finally verified her maiden name, and who her parents were, and that was through going full on writing out, okay, here's the area, here's what the parts of the area were called, here are nicknames for those parts of the area. It was a pain in the butt.
I guess I've been spoiled with Quebec records, French Canadian Catholics. Every baptism record gives the names of both parents. Every marriage record gives the names of both parents. And the burial record either gives the name of the spouse or the parents. And if they get married a second time, it won't give the parents, but it'll give, widow or widower of. So you know to look for another marriage with that person. My issue is Ontario is probably more like this, the non-Catholic French Canadian Catholics. Um, Even the non-Catholics in Quebec, like I was just looking at some Quebec Jewish records, and they give me the synagogue, but they don't always name the parents, or they'll only name the father. Well,
Hmm.
for the son, they'll name the father. For the daughter, they may not name any parent. So, but I got spoiled with because both my parents were half French Canadian. So following those lines back to the 1600s is pretty good. Although I do have a second great grandmother who was baptized of unknown parents, and that's a brick wall because there's no way to figure it out.
How
Yeah,
far
that'll
back is
do
that?
it. Unknown parent.
18. She's my second great grandmother on my mother's side, so probably the early 1800s.
Hmm.
I I can't
Yeah, the
remember.
Catholic Archdiocese in Boston is my best friend when it comes to my mom's family because they literally came to the country 1830s, I think the earliest ones, and then to directly to Boston and then stayed there. Like literally, I am the first person to leave since the 1830s.
See, my
Now, I do have a question for Donna because she said that the same is true about Louisiana records, especially in New Orleans. You can trace family back to the 1700s. Now, Donna, my family is out of Caddo Parish, and I have yet to be able to trace birth, death. Are you going like to a place where they are maintaining those vital records, or are you seeing those online?
Um, well, first of all, Caddo Parish is the Bible Belt. So what
Yes.
I'm talking about is the Catholic
French Canadians
part. Well,
or
No,
French.
okay.
no, yes, and Spanish and French.
Yeah,
So, Louisiana was founded as a French colony. And
yeah.
so our records, our vital records go back, way back. And the archdiocese was centered in New Orleans for a very long time. So many of the early church records. The problem when you go up north is twofold, because I have family, both Cajun family and what my Cajun grandmother called American. I have American family, and they came from North Louisiana, and they were, whatever they weren't Catholic. And so I've had attempts to, so the Catholics are easy peasy. There are books. Father Hebert. So if you have Catholics in your tree, and many, it depends, because the laws of the colony required everybody to be baptized, and that included enslaved people. So the records do carry the baptismal records of enslaved people. Where was I going? Oh, but for example, I cannot find my great-grandmother's death. And I think she was Methodist from Webster Parish, which is right next door to Caddo Parish.
Yeah.
A lot of small churches that have since disappeared, and nobody knows what happened to the records that they kept. Even cemeteries associated with those lost churches have nobody really knows where it was. So yeah, that's a problem. It really is. But I started to say Father Hebert wrote, I don't know how many volumes, I want to say 20 or more volumes, are transcriptions of parish or churches' birth, baptismal, and death records, and they're kind of like the gold standard, because getting to the access to the actual church records is very problematic. The Archdiocese of New Orleans won't let hardly anybody in to go through the archives. But Father Hebert's books go back from he dedicated his life to transcribing, going around to all the parishes and transcribing those records.
That would be interesting. Now, where can we find those Father Hebert volumes?
Good question. I go to the local library, obviously. All of the libraries in Louisiana that have genealogical sections carry them. I would not be surprised if family, what are the Mormon dealies, research centers? I'm having a senior moment.
A family history library is your local one. No.
Yeah.
Affiliate. Family history affiliate library. And then whatever the Salt Lake City one is called. Yeah.
Yeah. So they may well be they have a copy and they may well have scanned it and made it available, but or you could ask a friend to research something for you who has easy access.
Yeah, I've got a lot of cousins down there, but asking them to go to the library to help me with family history isn't always a it isn't always a popular ask. Yeah.
That was an oblique offer.
Yeah.
I would look for you if you had some specifics.
Yeah. Well, but you're in New Orleans. My people are up in Caddo Parish. The majority of them are in Caddo Parish. So.
Oh, no, I was saying I would look in the Father Hebert books.
Oh, okay.
If there was, some something specific, because as I said, there's something like 12 volumes and they're organized by date. So they start in the early 1700s, and I don't know how far forward they go because I really only need to research from the 1800s back.
Okay.
But if you, so if you, I'd need a date and a name at least.
Okay.
But I'd be willing,
Let's
if you see my name, I'd be willing, well, and not just for you, Denise, but for anybody who has or suspects they have Catholic ancestry here in Louisiana.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for that.
Sure.
I think cemeteries were mentioned. I'm sorry, Elaine.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, cemeteries were mentioned, and that's where I do a lot of the work that I'm doing. And I have documented a lot of the African American cemeteries, and actually, for our reunions that we do up there in Caddo Parish, we actually do bus tours as part of the reunion. So that's a good place where you can find clusters of family members that have been interred together. So when we do those tours, I've actually been using WikiTree to share with the people that are on the bus tour where their families are in each of those cemeteries. So that's been pretty awesome for them. And we have discovered, some people would say, "Oh, I didn't know that was her, that was her name, or that's the family that she was a part of." So just as an option, if you enjoy going, you'd have to go there to see it because the records aren't always accurate. Find a grave. Many folks will just list the women with their married last names and not include their maiden names, although that is an option. Those types of things. So my favorite term is trust but verify. And even if you don't trust, verify it anyway. So,
Excuse me. Do you or any of your family members ever draw out, especially for a small family cemetery, do y'all ever draw out the plots, like see who's next to who?
Yeah,
Yeah.
draw them out. No,
See,
they just,
that can
when we
help.
do those visits, they just take pictures,
Yeah,
you
that
know.
makes well, and
Yeah,
sometimes you'll see on Find a Grave that, or other websites, that somebody has annotated an image, like they'll take a picture of like 8 plots together and then label them. And
yeah,
sometimes you can get lucky and find a woman's maiden name that way,
yeah,
just seeing who's buried by whom or
exactly.
whom.
Yeah,
I am always on Find a Grave connecting families. If I'm working on one person and I find the spouse, whether it's the same cemetery or not, it's like, okay,
yes.
these, or find a person and it's like these are the parents, and like, because my grandparents are in one cemetery, my parents in another,
Hmm.
or my paternal grandparents in one, my maternal grandparents are in two different cemeteries, one in a Catholic and one in a Protestant,
Hmm.
and my parents are in a different one and my brother's in a different one. And so I'm always, whenever I work on WikiTree and I end up finding Find a Grave, I'll try and put like comment, make a note on it and say, these are the parents, and or this
Yep,
is the maiden name, or this is where they were born, because
yep,
it's not there.
yep.
And
Thank you for that. Yep.
I do
And
that
I
for
do the
England, Canada, the United States, wherever I'm working.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Thank you for that because it's also helping anyone else that's looking for their family members as well.
I don't know if you do the Link Builders Challenge,
I
even if
do,
you,
and I do
oh,
put the
okay.
WikiTree, the ID with the WikiTree heart image, but only, I know you're supposed to do it all the time, but I do it when I think the profile is well done.
Yeah,
If it's
Yeah.
a
yeah,
basic or a
yeah,
GenCom profile, I don't want to link
yeah.
back to it.
I know.
I want to
Yeah,
link back to a good profile.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
That's
True,
really
true.
funny.
Yeah, yeah.
but yes,
To
I
each their
try
own.
and
That's
always link back to the profile, to the WikiTree profile, because I
Yep.
have been doing Link
Breadcrumbs.
Builder since the
Yep.
beginning.
Yeah, and
And Aether always said it's breadcrumbs. Anywhere on the, anywhere would be great to link it back to the WikiTree.
yeah, and for anyone else watching this who hasn't done the link builders before, on Find a Grave, you can just put the ID, the WikiTree ID, so like Weatherall 96 or, well, or I guess pick a ancestor, Weatherall
You put an
111 is great
image.
grandfather. You don't put a full link with the www and everything.
No,
No, you
So you
just
just
put,
put I,
you add a flower,
yeah, any
and
flower.
it could be a WikiTree flower,
Yeah.
but well, it's called a
Or
flower, but it's a small image. I either use one of two WikiTree symbols, and then I put just the ID of the profile on WikiTree. And then
Yeah.
it
and
says
on
added by Lisa
yeah.
Macklin
And on
13 on
family
WikiTree.
search, oh, I forgot, I have my WikiTree shirt on. On family search, we are allowed to put the whole web link. Like we got permission from them to do that, whether it's in the collaborate section or the sources section. They don't mind if we put the full web link. But yeah,
Yeah.
find a great no.
And you can
And
do that in Ancestry as well. So
you
you
put it
were
as a comment
expecting
on the
me to
image.
see your little symbol, and I can't see your symbol, but you can use Sorcerer and add that to the web link section on Ancestry. That's right below the sources. I can go there and share it if you want. Of course, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but
Yeah. Well, it's all connecting people. I mean, that's part of the deal. It's
yeah,
not like you have to beat around the bush a lot in order to find the woman's maiden name or whatever. Like we have to
right.
exhaust all leads.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I,
And sometimes
I
you find
did
more
want to
family that way too, to connect.
yeah.
I did want to share an experience, and it relates to finding women that I really was able to identify because of the gossip section in a newspaper. And that's, I think, a often overlooked source. There have been several family members I've been able to track down because of that. But this particular one, there was a woman buried she died in like 1934, buried in the family plot um, in this small town where my grandparents were buried, and where my father was buried. And I didn't get interested in genealogy until after Dad had passed, and this was his family's plot. Um, and so I asked my mother, who is this person? And she's going, I don't know. I was like 12 years old when she died, so I have no idea who she is. And going through, was that a question? Oh, I'm sorry. So I was going through the town newspaper, and they had as they say, a gossip column. Mr. and Mrs. A.B. Daniels took their car and drove up to Shreveport to the state fair, kind of stuff. And it says in one of these articles, Mrs. Garner was visiting her sister, Mrs. A.B. Daniels, and is leaving whatever. Well, Annie Garner is the woman buried in the plot. I went, it's her sister. So then I could figure out exactly who she was. But up until that point, and why she wound up being buried there as opposed to where she actually lived in Ohio or whatever, I don't know. That's lost. But if it hadn't been for that little piece in the newspaper, I'd have never been able to identify who the heck she was.
Wow. Yeah. Newspapers, I think, yeah, that's another one in newspapers. If you're looking at obituaries or any of the other family members, I've seen the names of, like, if one of the relatives got married and the female was part of the wedding party, her name would be listed in there as well. I've seen that for sisters and
Yes.
cousins.
My
Yes.
most surprising place to find, where I just wouldn't have thought I would be able to, was in deed transfers. And I was able to confirm I had a suspected maiden name, but I found a deed transfer after the death of a relative of the woman's, and her name was not on it, but her husband, who was unrelated to that family, was. And it said it was all of the heirs of that person. But if it was a woman, it was listed under the spouse's name, which, at least in New York, was pretty typical back then in the early 1800s. And so I was able to say, okay, this has like the what are the, I mean, why else? It had to be because I knew they had a woman a daughter named Abigail Case, and I knew that was the suspected name of his wife. And so when I found him on a deed amongst, with his Mrs. Henry Castler amongst I was like, well, that solves that one. But
Yeah.
I had put like five different full text search documents together to get there, just looking for every member of the entire family and looking over every long form record I could find.
Yeah. Well, and of course, the Freedmen's Bureau records, there's probate records out there. There's
Yeah.
other types of records where folks were for orphans or they were sold, that type of thing. So you might be lucky enough to see the maiden name of a woman.
I've been doing something similar with, it's not through newspapers, but for this extensive Jewish family in the time of the Holocaust. That some came from Russia, some came from what is now Turkey, but they all ended up in France. And there was actual Holocaust records for a couple of them, different family. And I went searching and I went, okay, I'm finding that with a different surname. Okay, how are they related? And search for, I have to search a couple of times for a few different things, and I'm finding like, okay, now I've got this maiden name. Okay, but I've got that same last name on this man over here. Okay, who are their parent? Are they siblings? Search some more under that last name and find, okay, they are the parents. And they are siblings, and okay, I found the parents, and then search that person, and it's like, okay, I found the maiden name of the mother, and it's like, I just keep expanding this group outward. It's probably now about 50 people with, six different last names, and that all from this main one that were affected by the Holocaust and that were killed in the Holocaust, but finding extended family members that lived longer and that. So it's giving a better picture and more apt to try and connect them to the tree. And then once you connect one person, you're going to connect about 50 by the time I'm done.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
it is
Awesome.
capable. Sorry.
Are any of them from Lithuania, perhaps?
Yeah, they're from Russian Empire, and it is Lithuania.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I was just working on Lithuania.
Okay, yeah. Often they have really good records on Jewish Gen where you might be able to find maiden names, and they have they don't use the word census. I forget what it is. Residence list, something like that.
But
Uh, and name parents, that kind of thing.
but it's also finding, like, I find one place where they've done a story of part of the family, but they haven't connected it where the same place has done a story of like the sister and her husband, where it's the brother and his wife under that last name. Well, the sister and her husband, but you have to read both to know that it's the sister. And then you find the parents one place, but then, okay, his parents, and then, okay, but then his sister married a brother over here, and it's all a tangled web. But they're not
Yeah, I know
all from
you
Turkey.
wrote little about it
Yeah,
in the
I'm still
Discord chat.
working on it, and I'm
Glad to see
still
that.
expanding it. I'm adding them slowly. not adding all the sources directly. I'm just trying to get the names and the relationships there with at
Yeah.
least some sort, because they weren't all affected by the Holocaust. Some lived until like the 1970s or 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
But trying to get the whole group so that, because they're all connected, and the thing is to eventually connect them back to the tree, and that because that's WikiTree's aim. So I figure I can't just concentrate on the ones from that were on this transport. I'm trying
Uh-huh.
to expand it since I have the information, and it didn't take a huge amount of time to find. So it's like, okay, I'm going to put it on there because I think it's worthwhile to put it on and not just concentrate on the ones that were on that transport.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Question for Kay, are those on Family Search, those Chancery cases? Oh, she wrote in the chat.
Chancery in Virginia is at the Library of Virginia, and you can search Chancery cases. You kind of have to do it by location, and then you can look for like the last name and see who was. I'm going through one now. It's like 87 images. They went to court after the guy's will was read in 1753 because one of the daughters said, no, 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 no. She willed me these slaves, and the other people said, no, 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 she didn't have the right to that. But it named all the kids, their husbands, in-laws, all the slaves with their ages, first names and ages, and who they were sold to and from. I haven't finished going through it yet, but it's going to be a wealth of information when I get it all done.
Yeah. And some of those, yes, are available through Family Search. The Freedmen's Bureau has some of those records as well.
Oh, and Gina Jarvie, she's in the U.S. Black Heritage Project, but she had something she wanted to share about her family. She's traveling right now and she wasn't able to come.
Mm-hmm.
Denise, if you want to share screen, I just put her, I believe that's her great grandmother. I was going to try to edit what she wrote and shorten it a bit, but I will read it quickly. It's like one page. But yeah, it's a cool story. Okay,
Okay,
so,
give me a second because my
oh, it's
machine
okay.
is it's
Yeah,
slow.
and it's not I can start reading. It's not essential to have the image up. I just thought it'd be fun. Okay, she has a brick wall success story. My paternal great grandmother by Gina Jarvie. My father was an only child born in Shanghai, China to American parents. My paternal grandparents have always been a bit of an enigma because I never knew my grandfather. He died shortly after my father returned from World War II. And my grandmother lived in Philadelphia, where my father spent most of his childhood. My family lived in New York City, so we only saw my grandmother at holidays or on rare visits to her in Philly. My grandparents' story of love is also a bit of a mystery. All I know is my grandfather arranged for them to be married in Yokohama, Japan, on their way to China, where he had business, and this was in 1917. These kind of mysteries are the ones we don't think to ask about while our parents or grandparents are still alive. My grandmother, Mabel May Bailey, was born in Eldon, Iowa in 1890. She had one sibling, Delbert. She had no birth certificate and was only able to get a passport based on a sworn statement of her aunt who lived in Chicago. I knew of her parents, my great grandparents, Charles Bailey and Mary Etta Skellinger, through a cousin on Ancestry.com. But for years, I couldn't find my grandmother on any records in Ottumwa, Iowa, where I knew the family was living. Suddenly, Charles, Mary Etta, and my grandmother and Delbert literally disappeared from sight. Eventually, I learned that Mary Etta, who sometimes went by Mary or Etta, married someone else, which meant there was either a divorce or death. My cousin found Charles Bailey's Find a Grave Memorial in Oklahoma, which I found very odd. I'm convinced it's him, but why Oklahoma? They must have divorced. I went to Ottumwa and met my cousin, who knew a lot about the Baileys, though nothing really about Charles. It seemed he had been a bit of a black sheep. He had several siblings. My cousin was in touch with an elder cousin, who she inquired about Charles, too, and told her Charles had left Iowa for a job, and she remembered hearing he was killed in an explosion. Well, that was something to look into. I found nothing on the explosion nor Charles's death certificate, though I have been busy with other things. Smiley face. Back to Mary Etta, which turns out was quite a sad personality. I found a newspaper notice of divorces. Charles sued for divorce based on adultery and drunkenness. Mary Etta did remarry to an Andy Green, though he passed away within 2 years of their marriage. From there, I lost her again. I learned that it often helps to follow other family members to find the ones who disappear, because often when in trouble or needing help, that's where we turn. My grandmother Mabel had been missing all these years except for one tiny little article in an Ottumwa newspaper that said she was visiting from Chicago with her cousin and staying with her aunt and uncle. Why not mom and dad? I thought that to be exciting and sad. I deduced that if her mother was drinking and not in great shape, perhaps Charles sent the two siblings to stay with her mom's sister in Chicago. I did have family built out a bit, and though I never found my grandmother in the 1900 or 1910 census with her aunt and uncle, I did find an incredible newspaper article about her with an image as large as can be in Charles' Chicago Tribune with the headline, "All she wants is only $25,000. Well, that's another terrific story. Back to the brick wall of Marietta. Two more paragraphs. So, being an amateur, I failed to consider a few things. One was her name changed to Green, but I found no Marietta Green that matched. It took a very savvy WikiTreer who signed up to be my secret Santa who asked this question. So, where would she turn when Mr. Green dies? The answer? Probably her sister Hattie, the sister who had been taken in by my grandmother and Delbert in Chicago. Hattie was also the one who vouched for Mabel's birth when she sought a passport. She was now living in Rock Island, Illinois, but I'd been looking in Chicago, and Mary Green is a very common name, and I had failed to find her there. But my secret Santa thought of something else, perhaps another marriage, and she found one. Marriage license of a Mrs. May Green from Davenport, where Mr. Green had died 3 months prior, was wed to an Oliver Sears in Rock Island, Illinois, where Hattie lived. Then a death record showed this to be the same Oliver Sears. Putting back the Etta. She died 3 years later of pneumonia, with her body being sent to Wapello County, Iowa, where she is buried in Ottumwa Cemetery. So when my cousin and I went to the cemetery, we had no idea her name was Etta May Sears. She was there all along. I learned so much from this experience about the crumbs that are left that need to be followed like a detective with a magnifying glass, and sometimes even ending up in the same place where you had started looking. This was a great exercise for me and one I can add to my paternal genealogy file docs. Thanks, Elaine. I told her I was going to read that. She wanted to share it. She wanted to be there from California. But anyway, I think she had a lovely trip. I have a kid over there. Anyway, I was reading from the page. I didn't see if you clicked around at all. That's so nice. There's a nice image there.
Yeah, I was trying to scroll around, but I didn't want to keep scrolling so that folks would read while you were talking.
Oh no, it's okay. It was a little hard to follow, but I think I got it. Anyway, yeah, when you get married like 4 times in the United States and other places, that does make it harder. I do a lot of research in the Netherlands. I have no relatives there, but records and the fact that the women never changed their names.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. All right. Well, good job, Gina.
Thank you, Gina.
She's got a lot of DNA connections too.
Oh yeah, I hadn't really looked at her page. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and if y'all don't know about Secret Santa, get your wishes ready for December, or maybe November. Denise or any of y'all, have y'all done Secret Santa before on WikiTree?
I have not been an elf, but I know Greg is a consummate elf. He does it every year, and so does Vicky, my cohorts on Saturday Roundup.
I've been both an elf and a wisher and a wishy.
And they start in November. They're always researching.
I was wishy, and my wish was granted, and it broke the brick wall on a great grandmother.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I was able to take her back and find her father, grandfather, great grandfather.
That is awesome. Yeah, that's a nice little program. And then there's also RAWK, RAWK. Anne's giving me the thumbs up on that one. That's a group that also does research for other WikiTreeers.
Random acts of WikiTree kindness.
Yeah.
Exactly. Random access.
Yeah. They did me, and they did 520 more people on my
Wow.
that I never knew, and it was mostly Italian, of course.
Wow. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I have
Yeah.
one.
And
I don't have the document ready, but I just wanted to say one brick wall, which shouldn't have really been a brick wall. I should have been able to figure it out sooner. But anyway, I used census records to see who was living in the home of, I think, my great great grandmother, someone with a different surname. And the person with the different surname turned out to be her brother. So I was able to find her maiden name that way. And I can't remember what it was that made me positive about that connection. It took more than just that one census, but that was what I needed to start breaking the brick wall. Got a
Well,
robot.
wow.
but often then you can go back a census if it's if there's a census before she's married, you can search for that person and you'll find her there, and then you there's a box going by.
On the other hand, I actually went to Iowa and I talked to the local historical society and they found me the newspaper article and it said a German woman died and they found that she was buried in an unmarked grave. So we know when she died, where she died, but we don't even know for sure her first name, much less her
Wow.
last name.
Wow.
But your point about census records is a good one. I found my great great grandmother's maiden name because I found her in the census married with children, but living in the household was an elderly couple with a different last name. And those proved to be her parents. So, strange people in the household are worth checking out.
Hmm. Yeah, sometimes they're living there and I have come across situations where Alice, for lack of thinking of her real name right now, was living in the household with her future husband. Who knew? So until that in the 1930 census, she was in this household living with this family. And then in the 1940 census, it just so happened she married the youngest son that was in that same household. So,
Surprise,
you
surprise.
know, yeah, surprise, surprise. And of course, I had to confirm that with family members. Um, but yeah, they said, yeah, that's so and so. Okay.
So with I haven't used Family Full Text Search as much as I should yet, but I do use it some. Do any of y'all have the WikiTree sorcerer set to where it there are various special settings for making your full text search the way you want to? Have any of y'all messed with that? I'm just curious.
Used it. I haven't had to set, I didn't have, I mean, I just used the sorcerer and it did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like with any of those searches, it's great for a first or, whatever number shot. But, you always have to fiddle, especially with full text, you have to fiddle around a lot with wildcard uh
There was a
character.
presentation at Roots Tech about how to use the full text search with the wildcards and the different combinations.
Yeah.
Um, that's helped a lot.
Okay, I'll have to go find that. Excuse me, find that one. I don't know if I hope it was recorded. Oh, it must have been because I guess you were there. Or if you were, you didn't come by and say hi. I guess it's recorded.
Yeah.
I
Were
had
you
just
talking to Kay? Were you there live, Kay? Were you at Roots Tech live or did you go do online?
I was there online. I wish I could have gone
Okay.
in person because I would have
Uh-huh.
loved the chance to talk to all my other developers out there. But let me
Uh-huh.
find the link for that one. Uh, oh,
Oh yeah, that'd be great. If you
I
can
can
just
find
chat
the link for the free text one. I have it
and
full
then I'll put
text.
it in
I
the
keep calling it free. Here's the link. Let me drop it into the chat.
Thank you.
And
did
you don't have to sit through it for an hour because you can if you like to watch videos. If you're like me and don't have the patience and just want to read the directions, that you can download that so you can just read the directions.
Amen. I hate watching videos. They take too long.
I will say I'm not much of a video person, but I will say I'm so glad that I think I've listened to 3 long and 2 short presentations on finding female ancestors with good titles like Elusive or Hidden Female Ancestors. Anyway, I just had that in the background last couple days while I was doing other easier WikiTree things at the same time, but I'm glad I went on and did that because
Was
I
that over a
really
span of a couple years, or were those all in this year?
No, it's over the span of several years. I just found ones
Okay.
I thought would be most useful.
Okay.
And from peoples whose names sounded familiar. Um, but I put all of them in that doc, or at least I think I got all of them. I think I missed a short one from Amy. Amy Johnson Crow had a couple short ones.
You
Um,
might want to repost that doc for the folks that came in
oh,
late.
sure. Okay. Yeah. And I guess I can just post it on the G to G post too, like as a reply to myself or whatever.
Yeah, there is that.
And I mean, this is nothing fancy. I just and I have some stuff I have a little scratch pad where the notes make even less sense, but I'll try to make them make sense and add some more. I did some timestamps for the most interesting things to me anyway on the from the videos I listened to. Because I know, like, I'm glad I co-hosted this with you, Denise, because really I do sometimes avoid the female ancestors when it just gets too hard, and I shouldn't do that. Like, there are options available. Like, anyway, it kind of depends on if my brain's in let's do hard research mode or not. But
Well, I'm not a rabbit hole person. If I start going too deep, I have to switch off to something else.
Isn't that the whole point of a rabbit hole? Is that you keep going?
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'd rather do the bouncing around. I can't dig too deep.
yeah, I'm kind of more of a bouncer. But on the few ancestors I really care about, I do kind of cycle through every couple years and try a little harder to break the brick wall again because new records come out all the time, and I might think
Hmm.
I hadn't thought of before.
And
Um,
your patterns of thinking are different from what they were 5 years ago, and they're different from what they will be in 5 years. Like you just don't know, and you don't know what the technology will do or what'll be indexed that wasn't.
yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's good to know. I know on Family Search when I'm going through those Freedmen Bureau records, you know, trying to read that handwriting. God bless the kids that haven't
Oh,
learned to write in cursive nowadays.
See, I mean, I work with Alsatian, what is it? Early 18th century Alsatian German Lutheran church records, which are written in, I think it's called like current script.
Oh gosh.
And so I love English. Anything English, any kind of handwriting, I will take. Because I do not speak German. I do French. I do
Oh,
some
the
Spanish.
I've ventured into Italian records, and the priest there cannot spell it, or clerks or whatever cannot spell, just like a bunch of the Roman Catholic or French Canadian priests cannot. I've looked at French Canadian from the 1600s or the early 1700s, and the
Well,
spelling is the
to be
spelling wasn't
fair,
standardized,
yeah, exactly. So it's not that they couldn't spell, it's just
and
that
the
nobody,
handwriting is horrible,
yeah,
and then they're often faded too.
yeah.
So.
Oh, you
Um,
keep on
just a
moving.
quick question, please, so I know what is actually the Freedmen's Bureau, Denise?
Okay.
Sorry.
Around the around the Civil War, I think the Freedmen's Bureau actually started in 1863 or 1864 and lasted until 1872. Those are records that were maintained and developed by the military, because the Freedmen's Bureau was created by the government to assist individuals that were either enslaved and were
Oh,
freed,
no,
or they were
no,
landowners and left. Why are you shaking your head?
no,
No, Anne.
no,
Yeah.
no, I'm sorry. I'm just reading the chat and I'm sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead, Denise.
oh,
Sorry about
oh.
that.
I thought you were objecting too. I'm like, what is
These were, yeah, people that needed assistance with life
Okay.
after the Civil War. So they either
So it's
needed
African
a place to
American
stay,
people.
not just African Americans,
Oh, okay.
because it was for freedmen, which were the African Americans that were freed, refugees, which were the non-African Americans that needed assistance from the government, and those with abandoned lands, which could have been former slave owners that lost their land. All of those folks were assisted by the government in food, clothing, shelter, finding jobs, things of that nature. And so those Freedmen Bureau court records, those Freedmen Bureau records consist of all of that throughout the United States, or what was the United States at that time. And it's broken
Okay.
down by state.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a Freedmen Bureau Friday meeting that I attend every Friday because we have nothing else to do on Friday nights now. We're at that age. But Freedmen's Bureau Friday, which is run by Dr. Shelley Murphy, and she's works for UVA, the University of Virginia, to do research. But those are her favorite records, those Freedmen Bureau records. So every Friday night, we start at 7 o'clock, and sometimes it goes until like 3 in the morning. But she goes through different records in the Freedmen's Bureau. We transcribe in some cases, for those who need assistance in reading that handwriting, like me, things like that. So it's real fun, and we have a lot of discussions about different things and different records. Women whose children were retained by the slave owner, and so they go to court. So there's complaint records, there's military records, there's all kinds of different records that are associated with that Freedmen's Bureau, and that's maintained by Family Search.
Okay.
So you can just type in Freedmen's Bureau in Family Search, and it'll take you right to it.
Okay, thank you. I
Hmm.
wasn't sure. You're on mute.
Yeah, thanks. I was trying to look at the thing Melissa asked about. Yeah, I don't research in there, just the South and like Vermont. Um, but yeah, I'm pulling up the WikiTree profile. But yeah, Melissa, if you add the family search profile, like you mentioned, that might help. But yeah, my first place to go is the family search wiki adding, for figuring out what records you should be looking for. But yeah, the US is the worst for, feels like the worst for women born prior to 1850-ish. Yeah. I mean, men too,
Or even
because,
after. Yeah,
yeah,
even
yeah.
after.
I don't
Well,
know about
because,
that because
go ahead.
Canada only became a country in 1867. So before that, there's except for the French Canadian Catholics, there was no govern well, a bit before that there was, but there are no records of birth, marriages, and deaths. I can't find the marriage of my second great grandparents or my great grandparents because it could have been a traveling minister. They were they were Protestants, so it could have been so it's in his records wherever he kept his records, which may or may not have been published. And that's for marriages when they came around. We just before about the 1850s, there's a lack of records. I'm not saying there's none, but it's very sparse because we just weren't a country then.
Yeah, yeah. Now, somebody said specifically the Freedmen's Bureau bank records are great. clarification, Freedmen's Bank was separate from the Freedmen's Bureau. Freedmen's Bank was totally separate and owned by a different group of people. So you're right that it has names of individuals who owned accounts, but it was totally separate from the Freedmen's Bureau.
Oh, thank you. I think they just kind of end up in the same record collections, maybe.
It did, yeah.
Okay.
Family Search contains both, but it's actually Freedman for the bank. Freedmen's Bank, because it's an institution that's separate from the Bureau.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay.
But you're
Well, I've
right
got
about the
it.
rest of it. It includes names and their family members if they had a bank account. Now, unfortunately, Freedmen's Bank didn't last very long. Um, they ended up going bankrupt and getting shut down because, folks were losing their money.
And Nancy, do you have any, I'll read it because I realize people hearing this afterward won't be able to read the chat. Nancy asks, I found my second great grandmother, Harriet May, but can't find much
Mhm.
information for her. She was a slave in South Carolina. I'm fairly new to researching family, as the only living relatives are us kids. Any suggestions for how I can find more information? Do you have a WikiTree or Family Search, any profile? Might help.
Yes, I started a tree on WikiTree, and I also have one on Family Search. And I can't find anything for Harriet, for my great grandmother. I can't find any information. I thought I found her in a census, but at 73, I don't remember if that was true or not.
Okay, yeah, if you have a profile for any of it, um, like on any platform, we can take a look. Yeah, that's probably gonna be really hard. Like not impossible. But do you know of any siblings? Did Harriet have any siblings you're aware of?
I don't know.
Okay,
I, she
okay.
had a daughter. She had a daughter. My great grandmother, Eliza May, and Eliza was married to Moses Dessaso,
How do you spell that?
Dessaso.
Hmm, okay.
And this was all in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's nice to have an unusual last name to work with anyway. That
Yeah.
can help, I don't know. But okay, yeah, if you have a link to any profile, then we can take a look. But yeah, looking, I mean, kind of the what we talked about earlier, just like examining any census record, any, I don't know, that sounds like it's pretty far back. I don't know how many newspapers are available. Chronicling America is a free service from the Library of Congress that has newspapers, some newspapers dating back to the 1790s. Um, so there are runaway slave advertisements. There's like all kinds of stuff in there that might be useful. Um, and do you have any idea of a slave owner, enslaver?
No, I
Okay.
don't. I
Yeah.
I want to say that the owner's name was Dessaso,
Hmm.
and that they called the slaves since they owned them. Moses Dessaso was a slave. So and I want to say that the slaver's name was Dessaso, but I'm not absolutely sure.
Okay. No, that's helpful though. And with like Family Searches continually putting new records on the website in general and also more easily searchable on the free full text search, whatever it's called. Um, So even checking back every few months, you might be able to find something new, like a new, newly indexed, um, what's the word I'm looking for? wills are a thing, but what's the other thing? Like transfer records, deeds, from one
Mm-hmm.
flavor to another, that kind of thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, boy, if his name's really Dessaso, that that's nice. That's a lot better than Jones. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, my grandmother was Ines Dessaso, and she she was born in South Carolina, and her husband her husband jumped he came from Hawaii. My grandfather's Hawaiian, and he jumped off the boat in South Carolina because he was a stowaway, and nobody could pronounce his name, and they called him Joe. His name was Joe McLean because nobody could pronounce his Hawaiian name. So I don't have any idea who the Hawaiian ancestors are because nobody knows his name.
Wow. Have you done any DNA testing?
I have.
Okay. So that looks like that's going to be your primary lead on that one. Um, Looking for people that connect you to him through DNA.
But even though I don't know his real name,
Well, but getting the DNA results is going to lead you through other family members that are connected to both you and him. So eventually, you may not learn it right off the bat, but let's say there's you, and then you've got a DNA match to somebody named Jones, whose name is, I don't know, Harris. The last names may change, but eventually it would lead you to him.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with it
It,
being, yeah. I'm not particularly good with DNA, but since that's recent, it seems like that might be possible. Like
yeah,
finding relatives of your grandfather is going to be a whole lot easier than finding relatives of like your second great grandmother. Um,
right,
Kind of push
right.
on autosomal DNA. But yeah, for a grandfather from Hawaii, I mean, you could find something. Um,
Yeah, because you've got a piece of his Y DNA. You don't have all of it, but you've got a piece of it.
Yeah, I'm only 16% Hawaiian. And what's funny is my brother's 20. I
Mm-hmm.
hit
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, and that's because that Y DNA favors men. So
Autosomal.
if your brother has taken a DNA test and that Y DNA follows the male line, it might even be easier using his DNA to trace it back.
Huh.
I thought
I'll have to tell
I
him
thought
that.
Y-DNA was the one that could only do men, but
Yes, it is. And so the other, she would match with autosomal DNA. That,
okay. I see what
Uh,
you're saying.
y-
yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
So, but autosomal, but again, we get Y and we get X. We get the Y from the men and the X
But
from the mothers.
no,
but we also have the
we
other
don't get
25,
Yeah.
26
Ys as
sets.
women.
We don't get the Y.
No, we
We're
don't.
we're XX.
XX and men are XY unless, and then you can have
Yeah.
like XXY, and but that's a whole other
Well, yeah,
thing.
without the standard is
Yes,
XX or
yes.
XY,
Yeah,
and that's
sorry.
the
Okay.
autosomal DNA.
Yes.
The XY is the sex chromosomes, but you match on the autosomal DNA,
Yeah.
Yes.
not the sex chromosomes.
Yeah, but we don't, as women, we don't get a piece of the Y. That's all I
Correct.
was,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, unless, yeah.
And what is the USBH project?
The U.S. Black Heritage Project. That Elaine and I are both project leaders for that project, and we focus on the African American heritage.
and our other leader, Emmett Macbeth, just so happens to be a genetic genealogist,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
he does it professionally. But if you join the project and have a very specific question, might be able
Yes.
to get you some
Yes.
help on that.
She'd
So,
probably answer even if you didn't join the
yeah,
project.
this sounds interesting to me. So, I think we can have Emma be interested in this. Yeah.
How
But
how
yeah,
do I
just
how do I go about joining?
There's a post on our here, I'll just pull the post up and put in the chat. If you just Google WikiTree US Black Heritage, our project page will come up, and there's a link on there for you to answer on
To
our
join.
G forum.
Mm.
G to G is genealogist to genealogist, and it's basically like our chat question and answer forum. And
Mm-hmm.
to post on it, you have to be at least a guest member of WikiTree. All the levels of membership are free. But if you sign the honor code, then you can add as many ancestors and photos, etc., as you want. And yeah, hold on, let me pull
Yeah,
up that.
I believe I did sign the honor code.
Oh, great, okay. And here I put the link in there. Okay, so all you have to do is say sign me up, and someone will help you. Someone will reach out and help you with some very basic WikiTree stuff that'll be
Mm-hmm.
helpful for the project. So,
Mm-hmm.
yep, we would be delighted to have you. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And now that I wrote your grandma and granddad's name down, I can find you wherever, Ancestry or whatever. But yeah, if you put it all on WikiTree, that'd be best.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm working on that, and I put my father in, and something weird came. It was like I don't know what, I'm not sure. I have to go back and look, and maybe I guess I had to create a person and then link him to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, if
Yeah.
anything went wrong or it's hard, we can fix it. We can
Yeah.
address it. We'll get you linked up. No problem.
Okay, thank you.
Mm.
And and also Nancy is a great way if you go on Discord. Discord is great to chat, for live, to help live, right now, and it's a great place for that. And also, are you brand new to WikiTree?
I am.
Okay, your best will be going to the Q&A, right, Denise?
Yeah, exactly right. Thank you, Ann. We have a new member Q&A that happens on Thursdays. The next one's going to be on March 16th, I believe. Is that a Thursday? Um, so that's where we assist new members with any questions they have about WikiTree. And we also meet on Sundays, and that's for everybody, not just for new members. But you know, come ask any questions that you have, and we have people there who can assist in helping you. I'm one of 4 hosts for the member Q&A, so someone there has knowledge that can help you. Trust me.
Okay, thank you. I need all the help I can get.
We all do. I learn something new every single day, and I've been a member since 2020.
Okay.
Okay, well, it's 2:15. Well, here where I am anyway. Um, so if y'all don't have any more questions, we can go on and wrap it up. Also, you can still leave questions on the original G to G post that um, I put here. I'll put the G to G post there again. If you think of something else, write it there. Um, yeah.
Yeah. And if you need to, you can save that chat because it's got a lot of helpful links in it.
Oh
So you
yeah.
can
Make sure you
save
put
that chat in the upper right hand corner. There's 3 dots. If you click on that, then you click save chat. You can do that. And I believe you're also recording this, right?
Yes. Azure
Okay.
set up all the stuff and I signed in, but I do believe it's all recorded. And oh, and I
Yeah.
think she does some light editing if needed.
Thank you,
Yeah.
In
Denise, for the
but
new thing I learned today.
What, saving the chat?
Saving the chat. Thank you.
oops.
You're
I don't
welcome. And thank you all for joining us.
Well, thank you all for hosting. This has been informative and also just fun to share with other WikiTrees in search of lost women.
it just
Awesome.
crossed my mind that we have no men on this chat. literally hadn't thought of that. Anyway, that's really funny. I went to an all-girls school, so I'm very accustomed to that like being a thing, but I
Oh,
kind of would
okay.
have thought there might be one man on here, but whatever.
There were more men at my all women's college than there are on this chat. Percentage wise.
Oh my gosh. That's okay. We can fill them in later. They'll watch the record, right? Okay, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.